Hello my friends, I'm Rich Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we've got an episode that I think I'm more excited about this episode than I've been about any episode. Today we're going to be riding the KLX230 and showing you guys what's possible on this machine. Now here's the thing about the KLX230. I can't tell you how many times I've seen comments on the technique videos where people are saying, hey, is this possible on a KLX230 or a CRF230 or the TTR230, these air-cooled, almost full-size machines. Now, obviously, this is a slightly smaller bike. We still have a 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear. We have a clutch, it's air-cooled, but is it possible to do some of the technical stuff that everybody wants to learn how to do? Often when I'm breaking down some technique videos, this is one of those comments that I see, and yeah, I want to show you guys what's possible. So I went ahead and bought myself a 2023 KLX230. Now, the reason why I kind of bought a used one, I was thinking, man, maybe I'll go and jump for the brand new one. I thought most average riders who are just starting out, they're gonna buy a used bike. I was able to get this thing for like $4 grand. It was a great deal. I jumped on it. I mean, it's in great shape. It's ready to go. I've done a couple wheelies on it already, I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's pretty dang capable. Now, what I wanna do is break down, starting from very basic techniques to hopefully pretty advanced techniques. I mean, there is a K-rail. I might ride over that. There's some big tractor tires here. We have plenty of obstacles. We're here at my buddy Nick Thompson's Enduro Cross track. Plenty of obstacles that are above the level that I'm able to hit, hopefully on this thing. But we're gonna try to push the limits and show you guys what's possible. We're gonna start very basic. I'm gonna talk about the specifics of what I'm feeling on the machine. This is completely stock. It hasn't been changed at all. There's no aftermarket parts other than, of course, IRC tires. We got a VX30 front and a VX40 rear. I also put those on because I think that's a great setup for the average rider, basically an intermediate rear tire and a soft terrain front tire. This is my favorite front tire from IRC, the VX30. That being said, everything else is bone stock. So I'm gonna jump on this thing and we're gonna get right into it. I say we jump on the bike and show you guys what's possible. Let's start basic and hopefully get to the level. There's a couple things I'm a little nervous about, but let's get to the level where maybe I fail. This should be a lot of fun. I hope you guys are excited about this one, and yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so obviously we've got to start with balance. I'm always preaching balance. You guys know, if there's one thing that I think you should practice all the time, it's control right here. Being able to hold that bike and maintain this sort of balance. Doesn't really matter what bike I'm on. Balance zone's a little different on this, but feels pretty similar. I'm always focused on that head over foot style, right? Head over the right foot when I'm turning to the left. Head over the left foot when I'm turning to the right. Back and forth, being able to maintain that control. These things are soft already, I'll tell you that much right now. They are very soft. Now, when we talk about balance, we got to talk a little bit about clutch control. One of those things, I've definitely seen this comment before. Now, I set these up at 4 feet, which now that I'm lined up for it, I'm like, why did I set them up so close? This is as small as you can get, but I figured, hey, the wheelbase is quite a bit smaller on this bike. So let's see if we can get it nice and smooth. You can see there's no tracks here. I haven't tried this. Now, the thing about these KLXs, oh boy, is they idle extremely high. And I've seen some modifications that you can make. I actually ordered the idle screw that you can put into it. It didn't get here in time. But as you can see, it doesn't matter what bike I'm on. Whether it's a KLX or a Husky or a full-size bike. I mean, like, that was my first run through there. That's 4 feet. That's about as small as you can do. I've done it that tight on a big bike before, so this is a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to maneuver through. That being said, that high idle, you can kind of hear. This is where it idles. I'm barely giving it any throttle, and I'm just kind of using that clutch to actuate my movement as needed to maintain balance. As I always say, if you're falling in the direction, you slip the clutch in that direction. So if I fall to the left, I slip to the left. If I fall to the right, I turn and slip to the right. That's how we maintain that balance the entire time. Now, I always like doing, oh boy, turning radius is a little different on this thing. I like doing full lock balance. Let's try that on this thing. Full lock balance is one of those things. It's not just an exposure of your understanding of the balance point on your machine, but it's also an exposure of clutch control. So I don't have the full square. Usually I set up a nice big square here, but we'll just call this the square. We go full lock and I weight the outside peg. Again, head over foot balance. We go this way. Oh boy. See, I almost overdid it on the lean in the changing of the direction. That means we can lean that bike a lot. Still using the clutch to maintain control. We're going full lock. Boom, all the way to lock. Slipping that clutch as we change directions. Let's keep going and let's go back this way. Full turn, set up, change directions, full weight on the opposite peg. The more you lean the bike, the more the bike's gonna turn. Looks like the KLX is doing it just fine. Balance, man, I'm all about balance. You know I'm a tall rider, and I always do lines and stuff, on Instagram or whatever. I'll do a line on Instagram. Don't put my feet down. Nobody talks about my height when I do that. As soon as I do a line or an unstuck technique where I put my feet down, it's like, must be nice to have long legs. I'm like, keep that same energy when I'm freaking doing sweet no dab lines. I don't put my feet down. Keep your feet on the pegs, people. It definitely helps to be tall. I'm not saying it's not a huge advantage, but that being said, most of the people who are complaining about me being tall don't have that level of balance. You can see there, I didn't put my foot down one time. So that is the focus on these type of drills. I love cone drills for that reason. Full lock balance, a full understanding of power delivery, body position, everything. Using that body to maintain balance, using that throttle and clutch to maintain balance. It's key, and it's possible on a KLX. Now, let's get a little more technical, huh? Let's talk quick descends of RPM. I'm always talking about power collection. You guys can check my 3 pillars, the way that I teach, essentially. You can check that video out right here. Now, the understanding here of the 3 pillars, balance, body position, power delivery, and collection. Collection is the tough part. I'm always talking about catching the back end of the RPMs. I go in depth on this often. We'll go even more in depth on it on the channel. But something I love doing is quick descends of RPM to learn how to collect power. So obviously the RPM of this bike descend at a certain speed. And then we got that little bit of a high idle. What we're trying to do is increase the speed in which those RPMs descend. And you'll see why I do that as we get into the more technical stuff. But we're increasing the speed of the descending RPM. Just like that, right? Much faster. We're collecting the power. My hand's off the throttle. We're using that power collection to create efficient traction. Well, one of the best techniques for practicing that is quick slips of the clutch, transferring that power to the rear tire. So we go on, off, out, in with the clutch. I'm just covering these really quick. We can go way more in depth in the future. I just want to show what's possible on this bike, obviously, today. We're having fun. This is fun. Here we go. That right there, that slip is exactly what I'm doing in a double blip. The other thing that we do in a double blip is a clutch up, getting that front tire into the air. Notice, body position, forward, back. Oh boy, that's nice. The crazy thing about this bike, I understand it's air cooled. It's a hot day today. It's probably gonna get hot. You need to keep the air flowing. But that being said, the clutch is actually awesome on this thing. It's like, it's really controllable. I mean, it's a cable clutch, which is surprising. Honestly, it feels better than any cable clutch Yamaha I've rode in the past, right? So centered position, we drive our knees to the radiator. Front brake comes in, throttle comes on, clutch comes in. With the rebound of the suspension, we snap our knees back. Throttle comes off, front brake comes out, clutch comes out. We're using that descending RPM, just like I was talking about. Here we go, this is a clutch up. See, I'm turning that throttle off when I do that. That is the base of your double blip. You're gonna see me do a double blip on this bike. I can feel it. Nice. It's very controllable, feels really good. The clutch is pretty dang impressive on this thing. I actually really like it. So, we got the clutch ups, we've got the quick descends of RPM, we've got the balance, we've got the body position. Now, let's do a little getting unstuck technique. Let me change angles on this camera and let's do it. All right, guys, so we did a little bit of an angle change. I just wanna keep kind of moving around, showing you guys the different things that we're gonna do on this bike. Now, here's the thing. We just broke down the quick descent of RPM. We broke down the clutch up, right? The other thing I'm gonna say, that's a great piece, once you've got those 100% dialed, which may sound super easy, but you'd be surprised how hard it is to do that perfect every single time. The next thing I say practice is the getting unstuck technique. Now we're in a good position here. This is a perfect log to practice on. I went ahead and went with the part that doesn't have any dirt up it, as you can see. Now we're gonna set up here, pull the bike back to about 3/4 of the way up the obstacle. Our hips are back. We stand up onto the pegs, drive our weight. With that same speed that we drive our weight, we also increase power. So it's almost the same movement. As I'm moving forward, the RPMs should ascend. And then we release once we've maximized forward. Gotta move your body first before you release. Here we go. Up onto the pegs, drive the weight, release the clutch. Dude, I overdid it. That was a good one. I didn't think it was gonna pop that much, but it sure as heck did. Here we go, one more time. Set up, 3/4 of the way up the obstacle. I'm on the ball of my foot, my hips are back. I stand up onto the pegs, drive my weight, release the clutch. Nice, let's up the ante. Let's get it a little bigger. Now you guys will see why I'm showing you it in this order in a second. 3/4 of the way up the obstacle, slipping into the front brake. I'm always holding the front brake here and I'm slipping into the front. That gives me a little more suspension compression and rebound. My hips are back, up onto the pegs, drive the weight, release. Oh. Bottomed out a little. This stuff is pretty soft, I won't lie to you. But it worked good, man. This thing's super fun and kind of impressive to ride. Howie did a good job on this thing. I mean, this is a used bike, guys. I got this thing for $4 grand. You can do all the techniques that you want to practice on something like this. Slipping the clutch, hips back, stand up onto the pegs, drive the weight. Nice. That side's a little bigger. I can feel the rear tire actually hitting the bottom end of the, whatever that's called, rear fender, kind of air box area. So, we got the clutch ups, we got the unstuck technique. What people don't understand is the quick descends of RPM, the clutch up, and the unstuck technique are literally all related to your double blip. So if you can master that clutch up, right? And we take that clutch up and we add in our unstuck technique, you put those two things together and you have a double blip. 1, 2. Essentially what's happening there is I'm in that unstuck technique. I'm putting my front tire exactly in the same place as I would if I was doing a double blip. The front tire's there. It's as if the bike was running into the obstacle. That hindrance of motion allows my body to come forward and I release the clutch. It's literally the second blip of the double blip. So you get better at your clutch up, you get better at your unstuck technique, and you have a double blip. You guys can see there, it doesn't matter what bike I'm on, it's all the same techniques. 1, 2 on the double blip, 1, 2. Woo, boy. She's a little on the bottom side for sure. Now let's go to this tractor tire. This thing's, let's start small. Let's do this one first. It works good, man. It's pretty impressive. The only thing that's hard is the clearance is a little bit lower on this bike than it is on the bigger bikes that you ride. The clearance is a little lower, so I have to be very specific and very deliberate with where I'm placing my front tire, so I get a lot of suspension compression and rebound so my linkage can clear. That's nice, man. There's something satisfying about doing it on these little bikes. Let's try the big one. It's a pretty big tire. Yeah. That ain't easy. That's a big tire, guys. Let's try it. There's a little bit of dirt on that side. I'm gonna see if we can get it there. This might help me a little bit. Yeah, it's a big hole. It's kind of scary. It's all the same though. Gotta trust. Now I gotta try on this side. That worked. Heavy throttle coming in, more than I thought. Oh, I did it! Over the hole, no dabs, come on. Dude, I mean, the Jersey barrier should be no big thing, right? Oh, I'm kind of scared of it. There's a little dirt. The cool thing about this setup is we have a little dirt here. So we can kind of practice an easier side. Ooh, that's gonna be pretty scary. Just there's kind of gnarly. Let's get another camera angle. I hope you guys can see I'm changing camera angles throughout this whole thing to try and keep it interesting. We'll also probably add in some B-roll too that I film after. Now that I know what's possible, it's like, dang, this is pretty gnarly. No dirt here. So that's gonna be a little bit sketchy, especially with the lack of clearance on the KLX. We'll see what happens. Okay guys, we did a little camera angle switch. It's so hot out here today. I'm actually trying to find places in the shade where we can have the camera not get so hot. So I'm kind of switching angles. We're going enduro mode now because we're hitting this K-rail. And I don't know what's gonna happen. It's pretty big. The only thing that I'm a little bit afraid of is kind of the same on that tractor tire that you guys saw. I went and my linkage and center just got hung up because it is so low to the ground. So that means I have to be very smart with the placement. Man, that looks pretty gnarly. I have to be really smart with the placement of the front and trust in that placement. Now, I want you guys to understand something here. Again, it doesn't matter what bike I'm on. Consistency in your clutch up, consistency in this right here is what gets you to the point where you can hit bigger obstacles like the freaking Jersey barrier. And we'll see if we can do it on this bike. Let's hit this little smaller side one more time. You can kind of work your way up. I like that. I'm feeling pretty good on this thing. We'll see how I feel when it gets down to it. I like that. Feels nice. I'm gonna go over here. We're gonna get right close to the edge here. See, that ain't gonna cut it. We're gonna give ourselves a better run in here. Gotta be smooth and clean. Whoa, man, I think I can do it. Gosh. That's a big old girl. I mean, K-rails are kind of gnarly on big bikes. It's way gnarlier on freaking KLX. Better get it right. I mean, that's gonna work. Trust it. I'm nervous. Here we go. Trust it. Didn't trust it. Didn't trust it. Kind of bailed out, got a little scared. It's pretty scary. Freak. One more try over here. Let's try right next to it. Kind of work your way towards it. Trust it, Rich. Trust it. definitely doable. Oh, yeah. K-rails are possible. I hit linkage on that one. I'd like to get it a little cleaner. Oh, that was it. So if you guys notice there, I'm delivering power on top, and I shouldn't be doing that. I should be collecting power so I hold traction over the top. That's why I'm spinning. All about collection. There it is, yeah! There it is, yeah! I knew it was possible. I knew I had it. What was that, 4 or 5 tries? No big deal. Hit a linkage a little bit, but let's take a look. Oh, she's golden. That's what they're made for. Like I said, mastering placement is going to be key, especially on something like this. This bike, you have to be very, very deliberate and very precise with your front tire placement. If you're not, you're going to glide off of the obstacle. So essentially the reason why we place our tire where we do on the obstacle isn't just for suspension compression. It's for the hindrance in motion, okay? And this is something that, again, I don't think you really hear anyone talking about. You and your machine are two separate objects in motion. So as you move forward, your front tire comes up into the air. The front tire drives into a wall, right? When your front tire drives into the wall, that hinders your machine's motion. When your machine has that hindrance in motion, you should be separate from your machine. Therefore, you go forward. Most riders, when they hit something like this and they're scared, they keep their weight back the whole way, and that doesn't work. You have to allow the drive in front of the machine, and you can see on the make or on any of the tries, I place my front tire on the obstacle. It hinders my machine's motion. My motion continues forward in front of the machine. As I continue forward, I am releasing the clutch, and that allows the bike to come out from under me. So if the further forward I get, the further I can let the bike come out from under me and hold traction over the top, just like you guys saw. That's a key piece, you know? And again, it doesn't matter what bike I'm on. It doesn't matter if I'm on a KLX or a air-cooled bike or a 300 or a 450 or whatever. It's pretty much the same. Each bike has its own characteristic to it, but it is possible on every machine. 250, 350, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, air-cooled, small, big, it doesn't matter. You can really push these things to a high level, and this KLX is pretty dang awesome. I'm having a lot of fun riding it. It's an absolute blast. It's fun to kind of goof around on. It'd actually be fun to go out and do a little trials. I mean, it's a very capable bike, and it's a blast to ride. I'm excited to do more. I think we're going to do a little bit of review on it. This is kind of the first jump into Japanese machines, so maybe we'll do more of that. Let us know if you want to see what you want to see in the comments. I'm always grinding, always putting out videos. Every Wednesday we put a new video out. I'm absolutely loving it. Thank you guys so much for the support of the channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto, my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.